Welcome back, my dear students. This is today a new class and a new chapter for week 9 or week 10. I'm sorry. It's the chapter 10, Understanding Labor Relation and Collective Bargaining. I will share the screen first, then we will talk after sharing the screen. Yep, here we go. So it's about understanding the relationship, laborship, and collective bargaining. The reason for this chapter is just that when any labor is having any kind of dispute or any kind of problems, then he will complain. Where he is going to complain? He's going to complain into the labor unions. And the labor unions and the bargaining bodies, organizations, are there for defending the labor's or the workers' rights. So they are there to defend their own rights. Learning outcomes from this now is federal and provincial legislations here in Canada, how it works, the reasons why employees join the unions, outline the process by which union recognize employees and gain recognition as a bargaining agent, illustrate the function about unions, and perform at international. How are these unions working locally, nationally as well? Describe the bargaining process, how it will start the bargaining process, how it start, where it will go, how it will end. List the forms of bargaining power. What are the tools which I will use for bargaining? What are the tools which I will use for bargaining like? Identify the major provisions of collective agreements. So what are the parts of the collective agreements looks like? Describe typical grievance process and explain the basis for arbitration awards. And this is another point. So, law governing relation, is it a domestic law or a governmental law or whatever? We would check out this. Law seeks to create an environment in which both unions and employers can exercise respective rights. So laws reflect government policies, of course. What kind of government is it? And the laws goes behind the type of the government because laws always a stereo for the government, whether it's a federal or a provincial levels as well. Federal, like in Canada, Canada is having federal laws which is common between all the provinces, and there is also a provincial law which is only for each of the provinces. In as example, Ontario laws regarding the labor might be different in some aspects than that of let's say Alberta or let's say British Columbia or whatever. So every province or the north west territories, so every part of Canada might have a provincial which is slightly different than the other province. Labor relation legislations, we said Canada Industrial Relation Board administers and enforces Canada's labor code. So here it is, Industrial Relation Board is the responsible for the Canada Labor Code. Each province has a labor relation. That's fine. Board. So each province is having a labor relationship, relations board, a board for the labor relations to see to regulate the relationship between the organizations or the companies and the workers on these companies that administers and enforces provincial legislations. Quebec has a labor court and commissioners. Labor regulation, we still continuing to talk about that. This is very important, the duties of labor relation boards. What are they doing? How they will help the employees, the workers, how they will give them a hand and how they will give them a help. Develop administrative regulations that describe how people unionize. Here, complaints related to unfair labor practices. Determine if bargaining is done in good faith. remedy violation of legislations. So this is also another point. Now, the definition of labor relation system. What is the labor relation system? Relation system. A framework of the environment. It's a framework of the environment, the people, and the process and the results. So it's a framework of environment. Environment because it has all its bylaws, everything from the environment surrounding it. As example, if we talk about the types of societies, of course, the labor relations in a, let's say, in India or in Egypt, they won't be the same. Like they won't be the same because due to cultural reasons. So that might affect as well. Of course, also it will be different than Canada and it will be different than the United States. I mean, in all the aspects, they are different because labor relations is like any other law, is derived from the external environment. It is affected by what's going on in the external environment. It's true. The people, process, and the results as well. So here we have the figure. This figure which shows the labor relation systems. Labor relation consists of the environment, the economical, technological, social, and political and legal. And we have the people also, employees, unions, governments. Those also affect about the relation, labor relation. We have the process itself, organizing, collective bargaining, strikes, grievances, unions agreements, or management committees. We have the results as well. And the results, collective agreements. So those points are one, two, three, four. The four of them are the parties or the system of the labor relation. Consists of those 4 points. We will watch a video about the labor relations now for a few minutes. Then we'll come back to see what it is doing, and we will ask questions about what the meaning of the labor relations and regarding Canada as well, how the labor relation work. Let us see this video, then see how it works.
HR Basics is a series of short lessons designed to highlight what you need to know about a particular human resource management topic. In this HR Basics, we explore labor relations, how to manage the relationships with employees organized by labor unions. Labor relations is the practice of managing and maintaining relationships with employees organized by labor unions, including the establishment, negotiation, and administration of collective bargaining agreements. The National Labor Code refers to the primary legislation related to labor relations in the United States. It includes the Wagner Act, or the National Labor Relations Act of 1935.
Well, the same dose is not only for the United States, he's talking about the United States, but you can apply this also in all the other countries. Yes.
The Taft-Hartley Act, or the Labor Management Relations Act of 1947, and the Landrum-Griffin Act, or the Management Reporting and Disclosure Act of 1959. The Wagner Act, also known as the National Labor Relations Act of 1935, is often regarded as the most important piece of labor relations legislation. The act was passed for three main reasons. First, to protect the rights of employees and employers. Second, to encourage these parties to engage in collective bargaining. And third, to control their activities so the economy wouldn't be adversely affected. The Wagner Act established the National Labor Relations Board, or NLRB, to oversee compliance with the act. Let's take a look at some of the specific provisions of the Act relative to employee rights, concerted activities, unfair labor practices, and the NLRB. The NLRA protects employees from employer and union misconduct, such as attempts by employers to prevent unions from organizing and attempts by unions to coerce employees into joining them. The NLRA also ensures that employees have the right to organize a union where none currently exists. The specific rights provided under Section 7 of the NLRA to employees include the following: the right to attempt to form a union in their workplace, the right to join a union even if it's not recognized, the right to assist in union organizing efforts, the right to engage in group activities called collective activity, and the right to refuse to do any or all of the above. The NLRA also provides rights to employees who are not part of a union. These employees have the right to engage in concerted activity. Concerted activity exists when two or more employees act together to try to improve working conditions, or when a single employee approaches management after conferring with other employees on behalf or is acting on behalf of other employees. For example, if two or more employees talk with their employer about improving pay, or if an employee does so on behalf of one or more of her coworkers, these employees have engaged in protected concerted activity. Unfair labor practices, known as ULPs, are violations of the NLRA that deny rights and benefits to employees and can be the result of employer or union activity. Such violations include threatening to take jobs or benefits from employees who attempt to form a union, reassigning workers to less attractive jobs than their current ones if they're involved in union activities, and telling employees they will receive greater benefits if they don't join a union. Labor unions violate the NLRA when they tell employees they will lose their jobs if they don't join the union, or when union employees are on strike, they bar non strikers from entering an employer's premises. Specifically, Section 8 of the Act defines the following unfair labor practices: interfering with employees' rights, interfering with the formation of a labor organization, discriminating against employees involved, discharging because of action under the Act, and refusing to bargain collectively. The National Labor Relations Board, or NLRB, is an agency of the United States government that was created by Congress to administer the NLRA. The agency has two main functions. First, to prevent and remedy unfair labor practices, and second, to decide whether groups of employees want labor union representation. For the 12 years after its passage, the NLRA.
So we have just an idea now about a body in the United States that is protecting the labor's rights. It's trying to find out the labor's rights. I will be enough only for this part of the video. Then we will know what the definition of the labor relations and how the Canadian. I just want you to seek for this one, the Canadian labor relation system. Okay, why employees unionized? Why do the employees make a union for themselves? Why the workers? Because requirement for collective agreement, because you cannot go alone and I can't go alone. Everyone negotiates separately. We have to negotiate together. Union shops, closed shops, open shops. Pay benefits and working conditions. Like I told you, if you have a problem, you won't be able to go and complain alone by yourself. We have, when we are together, that's more better than everyone alone. Dissatisfaction with managers. I'm not satisfied with my boss. I want to complain my boss. My boss is breaching my rights. So where I will go, there should be a union that I will complain there. Social and status concerns. Of course, the needs of belonging. Me and my groups of accountants, we are all accountants, we have a union. We are all dentists, we have a union. We are all carpenters, we have a union. It's a social because union might look to us for more benefits than if we are alone. If I'm alone, I won't find any benefit. Okay, but when we are unionized, then we have benefits. Still, we are how employees unionized. Employees union contact and initial meetings, membership cards. You will have a membership card as well. Application to labels. Also, like things like for facilitation for their families, like going for vacations, part of the expenses, reserving hotels in favor of them, on behalf of them, like having a place for medication in the hospitals. Okay, so all this, like they will cover a big part of the operations and surgeries as well. So all this why I join unions. Labor board holds select ballot vote. This is another point, because when there is a union, you will have a vote. You will have your own voice for election. Election of committees. If you are joining the union, you can see who will represent you. You can select who can present you, and commencements of negotiations as well. That's fine. Okay. Employer tactics and obligations. This is another point we have to talk about. Employer tactics and obligations. Let's see what the meaning of this. Okay. Employers tactics and so this is now uh, this is where we were sending on prohibited from dismissing, disciplining, threatening employees, or any kind of press on the employee to work, like unacceptable behavior from the managers. So that's why I joined the unions. And in the same time, this is a kind of tactics, like uh, so cannot change conditions unless normal course of business, must bargain in good faith. Those are the employer tactics and the obligations which we are talking about. Union tactics and obligations, he used this, the union tactics, cannot interfere with operations of employer. So I cannot interfere with the operation as a union, cannot coerce on or intimidate. Means like I cannot interfere also in this. Must provide fair representation to all members of bargaining units. So I will give a kind of fair equity. I mean, I will treat with all the people an equal treatment. Cannot engage in illegal activities. The union also will never uh, work in illegal activities. Unfair labor practices. What are the unfair labor practices? Things which the labor do and it is not nice. Accusation. To accuse someone means I say about him something I know that it is not real in him. I say he stole my phone, he stole my soap, he stole whatever. Then an employer. Accusation that an employer, a union, or an individual has engaged in activity that is illegal. See, in accordance with the appropriate labor code. So it's already breaching the law. Certification procedures. There are certification procedures like which for the unions like to issue or whatever. So voluntary recognition, regular certification, pre-hearing votes, contract negotiations, and decertifications. The impact of unions on managers. Of course, when I know that I'm unionized, it will kind of organize the relationship between the managers and the union and the managers and the laborers as well. Greater involvement in management decisions. That's fine. Yes, this is the impact of unionization on managers. Restrictions on behavior and actions. There's some kind of restrictions because I know what's now right. What at least I have a list of to do and list of not to do. So this will help me as well. Formalize the challenges to decisions. And this is another point. that it will formalize the challenges to decisions. And this another good point. So, structure and function of local unions. Structure and functions of the local unions. How they work. How they work. Okay. Rules of shop steward. Okay. Employee of the organization, non-paid union officials represent the interest of the union members in their relations with the management. The most important function is that it represents interests of union members in the relation with the management. And the role of business agent. What is the role of the business agent? A paid union official responsible for negotiating and administering the collective agreements and working to resolve the union members' problems. If they have problems, so here the business agent is there to solve these problems. Labor relation in public sector. Also, there is in a public sector there are labor relation as well. Political nature of the labor, management relations, and effect of strikes. Those are the variables which configure it. Preparing for negotiations. Is the negotiations taking steps or just all of a sudden you say, yay, let's go and negotiate? No, it's taking some steps. Gathering bargaining data about the problem, about the type of the problem, you have to gather data. Wages, benefits, comparison. So I will see the wages and the benefits, and I will try to find out if this is okay or still it's not enough. Review of grievances, any kind of disorder, any kind of disagreement, any kind of anger, any kind of sad, any kind of need to complain. I should scan all this. Bargaining patterns. What are the patterns of bargaining? What has union negotiated elsewhere? Okay, still we are. Bargaining strategy. What's our strategy for the bargaining between the labor unions and between the managers or whatever? What are your objectives? What's your objectives as labor, as manager? What are the union objectives? If that goes with the objectives of the union or no? Are you prepared to take a strike or lookout? Are you okay? For a strike means, oh, we are not going to work. Stop working. What's the nature of the union? Management relationship. What's the relationship here between the union and the management of any company? Okay. Is this relationship good or bad? Okay. Forms of collective bargaining. This is very important for you, please. Forms of collective bargaining. Interest based is based on the interest of the workers and the workers or the traders or the trade. Okay. Conducting the negotiations, bargaining teams. There must be a bargaining teams. Analyzing the proposal. So we here will say we want this. We want one, two, three, four. We want our wages to raise up from $14 an hour to become $16 per hour. Okay. Resolving the problem. This is another point. Resolving the proposal will check out if what is the problem here and we'll try to resolve it. We'll try to find out an outlet for it. So, power in collective bargaining. In the union, the striking time, the employer operating during strike. Picketing, lookout employees. Boycotting, there is no power for the employer in the boycotting. Okay, resolving bargaining deadlocks. The first thing is the conciliation. Mediation means we will come to the like a kind of interfering, like to solve the problem and to get to a middle solve, something like in the middle of the way, like between the management and so everyone will have some sacrifice because negotiations means I will sacrifice with some points and the other party will sacrifice with some points and we will come to a meeting point in the middle of the bridge. Like everyone will sacrifice just a little bit. If you have six demands or seven demands, we can do five of them. And you guys also are ready to sacrifice this one, that's fine. So we can reach to an agreement. I mean, it's like exactly like two people are having problems between them and they want to come to like reconciliation and they come to be in a good situation together. So everyone is having to apply some sacrifice, which means not all his demands will be required or requested or been achieved. No. Arbitration, interest arbitration. Okay. The collective agreement still we are in, there must be a core for the negotiations or a conclusion for the negotiations. There must be a legal, a binding, a written document about what they reach to. A living document means life one is currently working on it. Management rights and defense rights, defined rights. So it gives everyone what he ought, what is rights in this. Okay. Grievance process, complaint by employees. This is a grievance. It's from the word itself. It's what's it? It's a complaint by the employees or employer that some aspects of collective agreements has been violated. That a you didn't give me my own rights. You didn't give me my own. You breached my rights. You didn't give me what you're supposed to give. Usually initial by employees or union. Okay, this is how it goes. Like the grievance process. The employees is the one who will apply for it. Grievance can be specific to one employee for all employees as a policy. So it can be for one or for all the employees. That's fine. Rights arbitration as well. What is the rights arbitration? And the arbitration you will have something like hearing, provides full and fair hearing. Union and employer are permitted to introduce evidences. Burden of proof usually rests with the union. Collective agreement is foundation of decision. See, we'll go back to our rules, our union rules, because it will solve the problems. Arbitrator must decide and give reasons. He must give reasons. How, why there is a complaint, whatever, and how we will solve this complaint. Award is enforceable in court. Award is enforceable in court. Actually, the rights arbitrations, when it is out of the hands and now it will go to the court, we didn't reach to a meditation, like we didn't reach to a solve for this problem. So we have to move now straight ahead into the law and the courts just to find a solution for our problems. Uh, this was a short chapter, and actually, it's important. Just is telling you that if you are working for a company or for owner, just listen to what I'm saying, please. If you are working for a company or an owner of a company, don't think that you been under his thumb or under the press or he's seizing you. No, there are bodies or organizations that's defined that is there to defend, is there to defend your rights and to organize the relationship between you and the management, you as a worker and the management as a whole. But not breaching the law. And we said the law is a provincial or a federal law. No, no breaching, no violating for the law by any way. We had arbitrations, we had kinds of mediation, we have this, we have that. All of them is a types, a different types of even the right arbitration, like going to the courts or whatever. All those together are working for one thing: to reduce the dispute between the management and the employees, the workers, to the lowest level, and to give the workers or the employee their rights, fully rights, and to stop the excessive power, which is, I'm not saying all the managers do it, but some of them, those managers who seize the power and think that people are working for them. I don't want to use the word slavery, but some employers or managers, they have an equity in treating the workers. They sometimes they abuse some of the workers. They are not fair with them regarding their vacations, regarding their pay, whatever. In that case, those unionized organizations are there to help you to have your rights. And this is the conclusion of this chapter. So go back to your notes, go back to the videos, whatever video you can watch about the unions, especially in Canada here, and write down in between you and yourself, uh, what is the use of the unions and how they will help in reducing the disputes between the workers and management to its lowest level, like we said. Thank you so much and see you in the next chapter. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.